The lead in the Times today, Trump's deflections ease base's fury over Epstein. Caddy, this is the lead story. And, man, they're doing everything from releasing records from Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination against the family's best wishes to spinning oldies but goldies, the political equivalent of Blueberry Hill. I mean, talking about Barack Obama and, quote, Russiagate, which, of course, takes you back to the first months of Donald Trump's first administration.
Yeah, I mean, far be it from any of us to suggest that Tulsi Gabbard may do something that is not directly in line with intelligence but might be political, but this does look like another political attempt to try and change the conversation. So here's what's going on. The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, is threatening to prosecute members of the Obama administration over their handling of the 2016 Russian election interference probe. On Friday, Gabbard declassified a series of emails claiming officials manipulated and withheld key information from the public in an effort to undermine President Trump's entire first term in office and beyond. She says on December the 8th of 2016, officials prepared an assessment that found Russia did not interfere in the 2016 election, but they pulled that information before it reached President Obama. Gabbard then alleges that Obama directed his staff to create a new assessment on Russia, even though it would contradict other reports. We'll note that just a week later, on December the 16th, President Obama also publicly said there was no credible evidence of voting totals being manipulated.
I can assure the public that there was not the kind of tampering with the voting process that was of concern and will continue to be of concern going forward, that the votes that were cast were counted. They were counted appropriately. We have not seen evidence of machines being tampered with. So that assurance I can provide.
OK, so, I mean, it's worth remembering that Hillary Clinton had just lost the election at that point, but there is Barack Obama still saying this was not tampered with. It's also worth noting that in 2020, during President Trump's first term in office, the Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee found Russia posed, quote, a grave counterintelligence threat to that 2016 presidential election. That report was signed off by the panel's acting chairman, Senator Marco Rubio, who is now, of course, President Trump's Secretary of State. Gabbard's report names former DNI James Clapper, former CIA Director John Brennan, and former FBI Director James Comey. Gabbard says she will provide the documents to the Justice Department, the DOJ. They've declined to comment. President Trump has praised the report's findings on Truth Social, calling it, quote, the crime of the century. House Speaker Mike Johnson also called for more accountability, telling the Christian Broadcasting Network he's ready to subpoena former President Obama to get more answers. Meanwhile, Fox News contributor Andy McCarthy criticized Gabbard's claims, calling them frivolous. In an op-ed for the National Review, McCarthy writes in part, quote, no new light is shed on this episode by Gabbard's email disclosures last Friday, which, unsurprisingly, were accompanied by an overwrought and misleading press release rather than an analytical report. I mean, Joe, the thing is, they're actually saying kind of the same thing Barack Obama said. We have seen the evidence from the intelligence community that there was Russian meddling, but as President Obama said, they didn't actually tamper with the machines.
When you have one administration going after a former administration, you should report on it. But here we are, 7, 8, 9 years later, going back over ground that's already been covered repeatedly. And again, it goes to the bigger question, again, that the Times is asking, Caddy, you know, what's he distracting his base from? I mean, we're not talking about Jeffrey Epstein right now. We're not talking about his low approval ratings when it comes to immigration, how the CBS YouGov poll showed he's really upside down on immigration when you look at his detention policies. We're not talking right now off the top of the show about any of that, which David Drucker means that perhaps this is part of a plan, especially when you hear the names Clapper and Comey and all these others. Again, ground that we've covered before. But why don't you take us through it and tell us what your reporting shows you about not only this story, but, you know, talking about the need for calling the Washington football team the Washington Redskins and the Cleveland Indians. And we could go down the laundry list of things that the president's thrown against the wall over the past couple of days. Here we go on Joe Biden, President Obama, Adam Schiff, Martin Luther King Jr., Hillary, the former USAID administrator, Harvard, immigration, Rosie O'Donnell, tariffs, NPR, PBS, and then, of course, Idaho student murders and sports teams. What's your take, David? What does your reporting tell you?
Well, listen, Joe, I mean, the circus is back in town. I mean, we've been doing this now for a decade plus. We've been doing this for a decade plus. I think the president is most comfortable in this situation. In this case, it actually seems to be planned. But, you know, my favorite example of how the president of the United States operates, just go back to the opening days of his first term. There's so much skepticism of him. His polls are upside down from the get, which is unusual for presidents initially. Even the president this time around looked better in the first few months. He delivers a State of the Union address, a message to the joint session, and because of the low expectations, everybody's like, hey, he's presidential. This is amazing. Look at that. Not so bad. 2 days later, he goes on Twitter and he complains about President Obama spying on him, right? I mean, he can't live in a good moment anyway. And obviously, right now, they're trying to get the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, that reconciliation package, from upside down to right side up.
Right.
He's having certain issues with his immigration strategy in terms of how it's being received in the public. And so it really does look like he's reaching. But the difference this time around is he has a staff around him, high-ranking officials, who instead of trying to push him off of stuff like this are embracing it and furthering it. And so I just think this is what the next, 3+ years is going to look like. I don't think any of us should be surprised this is the way the man functions. I mean, the question is,
right,
have voters largely become numb to all of this, or do they really, after a while, say, I wanted a secure border and a better economy, and you're giving me chaos, and I'm tired of it?